Hey everyone, welcome back to the Hybrid Athlete Dad podcast. Ever wondered if running and lifting on the same day is helping or hurting your performance? Today I'm going to be breaking it down, when to do it, how to do it, and what to avoid so you can get stronger, faster, and stay injury free. And much like the title of this episode, I'm going to be talking about running and lifting on the same day and what you need to know. Now, before I hop into today's episode, I want to be going over things that are going on in my life. Maybe it's challenges when it comes to fitness, nutrition, and anything that I think that you might find interesting or helpful. So, if you tuned into last week's episode on Monday, I had gone off and I did a temple run on Monday, and it was hailing for a decent portion of the run. Prior to that, our daughter and my wife ended up developing a little bit of a cold. So I woke up Monday and wasn't feeling 100%, but it wasn't bad enough that I couldn't work out Monday morning. Woke up Monday morning, went to the gym, worked out. It was a little tough, but it wasn't anything that was out of the ordinary. Sometimes I might just chalk it up, hey, it's Monday, it's the first day of the week. First lift of the week. I haven't lifted since Friday. Not that that's a long layoff or anything like that, but just kind of chalking it up to that. Came back, was a little tired, but I knew I wanted to go and push through this temple run. The goal was to get the run in before it started to rain. Obviously, that didn't happen, and obviously it rained and hailed on the run. Came back, didn't really think anything of it. I broke through it, but it was pretty cold. It was probably 40s with the hail, and then when it rained, it would drop down to like 32, 33. But again, got through the run. But then Monday night didn't start to not feel that great. Tuesday morning, woke up, wanted to go to the gym, got up, had my yogurt like I normally do before I go to the gym. And then I felt like I had a fever. I just felt off and not great. So I ended up staying in, going back to sleep for another hour. And that just led to basically the last week of having a cold. And apologies if I cough. I can feel one coming on at the moment, probably throughout the episode again. Apologies, going to be trying to drink enough water to get through today's episode because I think it's a very important episode, but still dealing a little bit with this cough and this congestion. So last week, had that on Tuesday. Wednesday, woke up, wasn't feeling, still wasn't feeling that great, but I wanted to see how, if I went to the gym and I worked out, how would that feel? So got up, went to the gym, got out of my car immediately, had chills, immediately had to go to the bathroom, but ended up just pushing through the workout, and I knew that it was leg day. I knew that I was just going to be using the machine, so I was doing like leg extensions, I was doing leg curls, I was doing calf raises, and then I knew if I was using just the machines, I'd be able to wipe everything down. And obviously, I do that normally, but I wanted to make sure I did this because I wasn't feeling 100%. I don't want to get anyone sick at the gym. So just did like 3 to 4 exercises where usually I have like a tough 6 7 day or 6 to 7 workout exercise workout for my legs. So just kept it a little bit short and got through it, and was thinking, okay, maybe if I went to the gym, maybe if I got the blood flowing, I'd feel better. No, it didn't feel that much better. But now it's on Thursday, so I've skipped my Tuesday and Wednesday run. So I get to the gym on Thursday, and the sleep between Wednesday and Thursday, I felt so much better. On Wednesday, I ended up taking a shower right before bed, a very hot shower. I had a warm compress on my throat that was hurting. I put some Vicks Vapor Rub on my chest and on my throat. Had a Tylenol because part of the problem is I was sleeping so poorly. I had so much jaw pain, which I believe is inflammation within like the lymph nodes. Don't quote me on that, but from what I can tell, it's basically symptoms of a cold. But wasn't sleeping great. So Thursday, go to the gym, and again, sort of did like an abbreviated workout, but definitely feeling better. Excuse me. That was on Thursday, and then I wanted to go for a run. I wanted to see how do I feel on this run. So Thursday went out for run, and actually what happened is I was planning to go at the end of the day when I was done with work. About 10:30 in the morning, our internet went out, and I thought, okay, maybe it's just us. And I ended up getting a text from our internet provider saying that there's an outage within our area and that the internet wouldn't be back on to 1:30. So that's a 3-hour gap in the middle of the workday. So our in-laws live 3 miles away, so I ended up running there and then ended up working afterwards until our internet came back on with my wife. So did that 3 mile run. That felt all right. I probably not 100%, but got through it. But then woke up Friday morning, went to the gym, and was just starting to get a lot of, not to sound disgusting, but like a lot of phlegm coming up, and a lot of coughing. But at the same time, that on Friday, I ended up getting a Garmin heart rate monitor in the mail. I'll go into that a little bit later in today's episode. Wanted to try that on. Ran 2 miles with that. Initially, I was thinking Friday I can run 7, but then I was like, no way I'm running 7. How I feel, I'm just going to go out and run 2. Ran the 2 miles. Saturday came around, and I was like, okay, if I get 5 miles in on Saturday, I think that would have put me at 15 for the week, where I was hoping to run 7 on Friday instead of 2. That would have put me at 20 for the week. Woke up Saturday and it's just, yeah, just not great. Just like coughing all night. Had a lot of phlegm coming up. Ears clogged. I wouldn't say it was 100% of a sinus infection, but just a bad cold going on. And I'm like, I just got to give myself 2 days off of running. So that's what I did. So that's what I've been dealing with. Excuse me. The past week. I know in episodes I talk about, sometimes things don't go to plan. I think that was a perfect example of this. Definitely a little bit frustrating after I had to take a week off after a procedure at the dermatologist and then getting back into it and then having to deal with this. But obviously no one foresees a cold coming on, and one that holds you back, because I don't want to keep running and then just like prolonging how long I have this cold. I want to make sure this cold goes away, but definitely feeling a lot better today. I think part of what helped me when I had the cold was making sure I just ate the exact same amount of food that I would normally eat. So if I was getting in 3,000 calories, even if I wasn't running, I would still eat that much because I just wanted to continue to fuel my body. That definitely wasn't easy. It was hard to get down chicken. It was hard to get down eggs, but I made sure I got through it. I didn't really have an appetite, but I forced myself, excuse me again, forced myself to eat it. Now I feel as though I'm much better because of it. So that was last week. So looking forward to this week. The goal this week is to get in 30 miles of running again. I did a 10-mile run. So it'll be 2 weeks ago this Friday. I did the 10-mile run. I was planning on doing it on this Friday that's upcoming. But my daughter, she has the day off from daycare. And it's just a lot of time to be going off and doing a 10-mile run while she's home, especially when my wife and I have the day off during the week. I want to go out and do something fun with her. She was off about probably, I think 2 weeks ago. Her daycare had closed for a professional development day. They closed again, and we just took her to this place about 45 minutes from us, and it was just had slides and ball pits, and she really enjoyed it. I had to do a 7-mile run that morning, and what I did is I got up, instead of getting up at 4:50, I got up at 4:15, did my regular workout, and then ran 5 miles on the treadmill, came home, ate breakfast, and then ran my next 2 miles. What I'm thinking this week is I might just stretch a 5 or 6 mile run into 7 miles and then take Friday off instead of doing it. And then the following week, when she's back at daycare on Friday, being able to do that long run. So, but this week, getting back into full lifting. And it was nice this morning at the gym, being able to hit a PR and deadlift. So for the past probably, I don't know, probably a month or so, I would say, I've been doing 345 deadlifts, and I'm trying to go for four sets of 5 on the deadlift. Excuse me again. And I was stuck at 4 sets of 4. I think it was last week when I did the deadlifts. I hit 3 sets of 4, and then the last set I hit 4. I hit the set for 5 reps on that set. So I knew I could do it, and I felt as I was getting a lot closer. I had progressed from, I think, 185 over the last 2 or 3 months. Obviously, 185 wasn't a ton for me, but I just sort of progressed. I never really continued to progressive overload my deadlift ever before, and I tried different things. Part of the problem was the barbell would slip out of my hands, so I bought the wrist wraps, but I tried to get them to work when it comes to deadlift. I just had a hard time because I do the sumo deadlift. I have my left hand over the bar, my right hand under the bar, and I was just having a hard time with that. So I ended up getting some chalk, and that's just been helpful tremendously. I just buy liquid chalk, and you put like a couple dabs on your hand, and then you rub it in. You wait 10 seconds, and you're good to go. So I started using that. That was beneficial. So it was nice. So this morning went and did 345 for 5, 345 for 5. It's like, okay, like I want to push myself. I want to go up. So did 355 for 5, and then ended up doing 365 for 3, and I was just spent at that point. And then I still had the rest of my workout. And I think part of what helped me in this, and I felt as though when I did 345 for 5, whatever, a week ago, that I'd warm up with 135, and then I go off and do it. So it's a little bit of warm up. I might do 5-6 reps of 135 just to get. It's really my hamstrings that I'm really trying to loosen up, that I find that I might get a problem with. So do the 135 warm up, and then I notice like I'm kind of tight. My body's kind of tight on the first 2 to 3 sets, and then on the fourth set, my body's like nice and loose, and I can do it. So I end up doing 225 for 5 just as a warm up set, and then jumped into doing the 345, 355, 365. So next time I start, I'm gonna start with 365 and see if I can rep that for 5 reps. I feel pretty confident in that. The goal right now is to get to 400 and see where that takes me. I like deadlifting. I feel like with squatting, I was getting up to about 300 in squats, and I felt as though I was sacrificing some of my form. So I just didn't want to hurt my back when it came to squatting. So I don't know. I feel like I have more control over the deadlift for whatever reason. That's just me, my preference. So when I came to squatting, I would just try to find variations like hack squat. I would do belt squats, leg press, Bulgarian split squats, lunges, just different things like that find variations. And then same thing with benching. I felt as though I'd plateaued. And then so I just switched over to right now I'm just doing flat dumbbell press. And I'll do an Arsenal machine. Not sure. I'm sure if you don't have it at your gym, but basically I just load up the plates on the side. So I have 90 pounds on each side. Again, apologies. I want to get through this episode. I'm really excited about it. I was having to deal with this cough on the back end. It's definitely pretty annoying, but doing my best to get through it. So you have the flat bench, and you're lying down, and you have the plates on either side of you. So just trying to get some variations in it. But looking forward to this week. Not last week, obviously, but the week prior, I brought back weighted dips. I brought back weighted chin ups, bringing some of those variations. So was looking forward last week to being able to see how those progress, but obviously wasn't feeling 100%. So back to running this week, back to lifting. Ran 5 miles this morning. It wasn't so much that it was hard. I mean, first mile was 9:20, which is a little slow for at least for me, but ended up finishing with a 9:06 pace. So I was fine. I was happy. I was happy with that for how that ended up. Honestly, it just felt long. It didn't really, like, endurance wise, I felt as though like it was fine, but for whatever reason, it just felt like a long run, where usually I don't feel that on 5 miles. I'll feel that when I'm running 10 miles. By like mile 9, I'm like, okay, like I'm ready to pack it in. I'm ready to be done with this run. I'm getting kind of bored, to be honest. But 5 miles, I usually don't feel that. I felt that like 2 miles in today, but I think that's just from not being able to run too much last week to now, starting to pick it up again this week. So looking forward to getting back into running. And with that, I bought the Garmin heart rate monitor. I've been seeing a lot of folks wearing it, and I just wanted to test it out for myself. I just wanted to get better, accurate numbers on my heart rate. I've worn it twice so far, so I can't speak to my thoughts exactly. The reason I bought it is obviously I have my wristwatch, and I just want to know like what is my exact and better heart rate. So like on my wristwatch, if I'm running 160, like 165, that's zone 4. What if I'm actually running 140, and that's a zone 2 or zone 3 run for me? I want to know the exact zones that I'm running into, so that way I can better plan. Like, oh, or if I'm thinking about 165, I'm at 180. I'm like, okay, like I'm pushing this run too hard, so I'm just trying to get a better idea and a little bit more accurate of an idea on some of that heart rate data, so that way I can plan, okay, like here's how fast I want to go, here's where I want to keep my heart rate. This isn't to say that the watch can't do it. But I have, just from what I read, from what I've heard, the heart rate monitor can be more accurate. So I bought the Garmin Heart Rate Pro Plus, so it ended up being on sale. I got it for $99. I think it was originally $129. So super excited about that. Super excited to continue to wear that and see how that is. I especially really want to get it for the summer too, when it starts to get hot, and see how that has an effect on my heart rate. So to be continued on the effect of the Garmin heart rate monitor, but super excited to get it and share my experience with everyone listening on that. So, gosh, this off is it's gonna be a tough one to break, but diving into today's episode, running and lifting on the same day and what you need to know. So, why combine running and lifting? Well, for me, when I look at someone that's the hybrid athlete, I think of someone that has endurance and strength. And when you have endurance and strength, that means that you have total fitness. So you're not just someone that's a power lifter, and you're not just someone that's a marathoner. You're someone that has a combination of strengths. So maybe you're not too skinny and you're not too bulky. There's nothing wrong if you are a marathoner or if you are a power lifter. This is more for the hybrid, someone that wants to be that hybrid athlete, that you get the total fitness overall. You get the benefits of cardiovascular health, muscle growth, metabolic boost, and discipline. Obviously, you get the cardiovascular health from running, you get the muscle growth from lifting, you get the metabolic boost from both of them, and obviously the discipline. And the discipline to go out there and do hard things, where some days I don't feel like lifting, some days I don't feel like running, some days I don't feel like doing both of them. But I'm going to go out there and I'm going to push myself, and I know that I'm going to become a better person because of it. My advice when it comes to running and lifting on the same day is that you build it up gradually and slowly over time so you don't injure yourself. And with the way that that looked like for me is, early on, I was going to the gym 5 days a week, but technically, I would say technically it was 3 days a week. And what I mean by that is, when I had the previous setup, I would be working out hard Monday, Wednesday, Friday. And Tuesday, Thursday would be more abs and a little bit of cardio. So the way that the cardio looked like for me is I'd do 20 minutes on the treadmill. And then that graduated to running a mile on the treadmill. And I slowly just gradually built it up over time. Right now I work out hard 5 days a week at the gym, and I get in my 5 runs per week. But it wasn't always like that. It started off on 3 days a week. Always, again, it's 5 days a week at the gym, but 3 days a week of actually pushing myself, doing these workouts, not to say that abs aren't a full workout, but for me right now, I just add abs on to the end of my workouts that I do now, and I'll just do like 3 sets of 10 hanging leg raises. Maybe I'll do cable crunches. Maybe I'll do torso rotations. But I just add it on at the end of every single day now, instead of having specific days for it. So you build it up gradually and slowly over time. So I started with that, and then eventually it led me to running outside in the neighborhood near me, which would be about a mile and a half loop. And then I did 2 miles, and then 3 miles. And then over time, I started working out more. And next thing I knew, I found myself at the gym 5 days a week. When I was in my marathon prep training, which was very short lived, it was 6 weeks. I would go to the gym 4 days a week, and I would run. Yeah, that was still 5 days a week, with Friday or Saturdays being my long run for the week. But you just slowly, gradually build it up over time. If you're someone that's going to the gym 3 days a week right now, and you want to add some other days, maybe you go 4 days a week for a month, and then you add in the fifth. When it comes to the running aspect of it, same sort of thing. I would just try to increase your weekly mileage. So the way that I had done it early on is I'd be like, okay, I want to run 1 mile on, say, Monday, Wednesday, Friday. I want to run 2. On Monday, I want to run 2. On Wednesday, I want to run 2. Thursday or Friday, I want to run 3. So you can see I'm just gradually gradually increasing it. And then the following week I'm running 3-3-4. Then I'm running 4-4-5, and then 5-5-6. So you can see I'm just gradually increasing my running, but I'm not doing it in a way so that I can injure myself. You go from not running at all to 30 miles, 40 miles, 50 miles. If you go from working out twice a week to 5 times a week plus running, there's a good chance that you're going to injure yourself, and that's not necessarily what I want to happen to at all. I don't want to be injured. I don't want to be sick. I mean, obviously I was sick, but I don't want to hurt myself to the point where I can't work out, I can't go to the gym, I can't run. I'm having to take weeks off because I'm injured, and I think a lot of the time that comes from just overtraining. But right now, the way I look at it, from someone that's not working out at all, it might look like I'm overtraining. But now I've been doing it for 6 months of running 5 days a week and 6 months of working out, where for me it's not really overtraining. But if I was just starting off, it would look like overtraining. So I don't want you to go out there and think you have to do all these workouts and all these lifts to injure yourself. Just gradually increase it over time. Stick to a routine that works best for you. This could be running first and then lifting later in the day. For me, and what works best for my schedule is lifting first thing in the morning and then running a little bit later, where I have about maybe a 2 hour gap in between lifting and running. I would prefer to have a 8 to 10 hour gap in between the two of them, but that's not what works best for my schedule. For me, I want to get stronger in the gym, which is why I focus on lifting first. I want to get faster at running, but my priority is gains that I get in the gym. So if your goal is to run a lot faster, then maybe you should be running first and then lifting second. Maybe you do work out 8 hours apart, 12 hours apart, or you're like someone like myself where I just try to fit it in when I can. And what that time spot is for me is getting up early in the morning, going to the gym, coming home, having breakfast, hanging out with my daughter, dropping her off, coming home, and then going for a run before I start my work day. So that's what's feasible, and that's what works best for me. When you're running and lifting on the same day, you might have some sort of what I would consider would be crossover fatigue. So if you're running first, maybe you're a little bit tired when it comes to your lifting. I have noticed this, and this is again where I've only done it for, a few hours apart. So I can't say if I did it 8, 12 hours apart what that would look like. But there's been time, or a singular time that I can think of, where I went to the gym, and for whatever reason, the gym, and this was before it was 24 hours, the gym wasn't unlocked. I'm not sure what happened there. It's really the only time that it's happened. Gym wasn't unlocked, so I ended up going home, going for a run, and then came back later in the day and did a lift. I noticed that I think I did like a 8 to 10 mile run, and then was lifting. I noticed like I had a hard time pushing myself. I find myself a lot more tired on my runs than I do lifting. So I noticed that so that's why again I like doing lifting first versus running. I do notice though that there are times when I lift and when I go to run, I just don't have a ton of energy to go out there. I obviously try to have supplements and products. I might have a Go One More bar, I might have the G1M Sport, I might have the Go Gel. Those are all BPM products that I highly recommend. But sometimes if I'm going out there and I'm just crushing my leg day, and then 2 hours later I'm running a 5 mile run, and sometimes it's hard to really push yourself to get that motivation. But I know I'm not gonna wait for motivation. I'm just gonna go out there and I'm gonna get the run in. But there are days where you feel tired. Maybe today, like I'm deadlifting, like that takes a lot out of me, and now I have to go off and do these runs. So just know that you're gonna have that crossover fatigue. That's why I really do feel like when I go off and I run these races, I run usually like 30 seconds to a minute faster per mile than what I normally do. And I think part of it honestly, I think the good majority of it is like if I'm running a race on a Sunday, I'm not going to be working out Friday. I'm going to be really prioritizing everything Saturday, obviously Sunday morning. Where right now I'm going off and I'm running after having lifting. So when I go and run these races, I feel great because I'm not as sore, I'm not as fatigued from lifting earlier in the day. But just knowing that sometimes you might get this crossover fatigue, whether you lift first or whether you run first. But over time, I found my body has become adapted to it. Sometimes if I get towards the end of the week, it starts to weigh on me a little bit, and that's usually why I like to have Thursdays off. Thursdays off when it comes to running. I find that that's like the sweet spot for me. If I run 3 days in a row, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, or not that, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and then I take Thursdays off. It just I feel so much better. I feel so much more refreshed, and then I go off and do long run on Friday. I'm gonna do off and do a 5 mile run on Saturday, and then I'm done for the week. So I get back Saturday morning, no later than about 6:30 in the morning, and then I'm done for the week. And I basically have almost like 2 full days to recover. So that's some of the crossover fatigue that you could deal with. Make sure that you're getting in enough calories and macros in a day. So for me, I like to use MyFitnessPal, and the main reason that I use MyFitnessPal and I track all my calories and I track everything that I eat is not necessarily because I want to be losing weight at all, but obviously you have the benefit of that within using MyFitnessPal. But I like to use it to make sure that I'm getting in enough calories per day. So like right now, I can look at my Garmin watch and let me see. It's gonna show. So far, I've burned 2,300 calories and a little bit. Um, so 2,300 calories, and then projected total today to burn 3,300 calories. So I know that I want to get in 3,300 calories just to maintain my body, to maintain my figure. If I'm just feeling my body enough, so then that's why I use my Fitness Pal to make sure that I'm getting in enough. So the big three are going to be your carbs, they're going to be your fats, they're going to be your proteins, and using my Fitness Pal, so I put it as I'm like very active, which obviously makes sense because I'm someone that's running and lifting. So it'll give me set metrics of what I need every single day. I found that, and it was not just me, but I was watching, I believe his name is Truett Haynes. I highly recommend checking him out. He eats about 300 grams of protein per day, and I don't quote me, but I think he weighs about 170, 180 maybe. I think he's trying to get down to 160. And honestly, I found that early advice that I got was 1 gram a pound a body 1 gram of protein per pound of body weight. So right now about 175. So I should be getting in 175 grams of protein in per day. Well, I was doing that. Well, early on I was getting like 50, 75, 100 grams of protein. So over time, built it up, figured out what I should be eating, and I could do a. I believe I have previous episodes on this, and I could go on forever. But I found that usually I'm about 200 grams of protein per day, so a little bit more than a gram of protein per body weight, per pound of body weight. I found that if I'm about 250 to 275 grams of protein, I recover a lot better. I'm not sure the reasoning behind it. I think my body just needs more protein. And I think it was just watching his videos and seeing that he gets in 300-ish grams of protein per day, and he's around the same weight as me, again, give or take a few. So I just want to make sure I'm getting in enough calories and macros in a day. And what I like about it is I can just scan everything. I can scan my meals, and this isn't a MyFitnessPal ad. I've been using it for almost a year now, and I still weigh everything with a food scale. Again, everything just goes back to making sure that I'm getting enough in. Obviously, if I'm on the weekend, like sometimes I'll be a little bit more lenient with my calories if I'm not working out as much, but I always make sure I always gotta at least get that 1 gram per pound of body weight every single day, Monday through Sunday. So I mean that's a non-negotiable for me, and it's interesting because I put in all this work during the week, and then I go on the weekends, and I could see like I'm at 1,500 calories heading into dinner, or I'm at, and that's usually what it is. So over time in the beginning, like, okay, I'm at 1,500 calories. What can I do to make sure that I'm getting more? But this isn't eating like terrible foods where I don't want to be having 200 grams of fat where I could just be eating cheeseburgers and racking up the calories. I want to make sure that I'm getting good quality nutrients in. So maybe that comes from a nut mix. Maybe that comes from something I've been doing. And when I get back from my runs in the morning to get more calories in is having peanut butter. So I have a piece of sourdough. I'll put peanut butter on it. I'll chop up a banana, have little banana pieces on it, and then I'll throw some honey on it as well. So just trying to get more calories in a given day. So just different things like that. But you just want to make sure that you're getting enough calories in, whatever that number is for you. Typically, an average for me, it's about 3,100. So I'm always shooting for that number. I want to make sure I'm getting good carbs in. I want to make sure I'm getting good fats in. And I want to make sure I'm obviously getting in enough protein. And that was something I didn't really know too much early on. And when I had first started with my nutritionist and we were going through a lot of these changes, and we didn't call it so much of a diet, but more a lifestyle change. It was hard. It was hard there for a few weeks where my body was adjusting because all of a sudden I started to need more calories, and I was eating like a similar amount of calories that I had been before, and I just noticed myself being more tired and not as motivated. And then once I started to increase my caloric intake, it became I felt so much better because of it. When it comes to running and lifting, and this could really be true in anything that you do, but just to prioritize your sleep and recover. When I'm not running, I'm not running. When I'm not lifting, I'm not lifting. I'm not pushing myself so hard. I'm just making sure that I give myself that time to recover. I'm prioritizing my sleep. For me, I'm trying to get about 6 to 7 hours per. I say six. For me, it's more about 6.5 to 7 to 7.5 hours per night is what's perfect. For me, obviously, 6:45 versus 6 is a big difference, but so try to get about 6.5 to 7.5 hours per night, and that just means okay, if I'm getting up at 4:15, I want to be lights out by 9:15. If I'm getting up at 4:50, I want to be lights out by 9:30, and that's just what works best for me. Maybe I'll stay a little bit later up on the weekend, but I know okay, Saturday I still want to get off. I want to do my run before my daughter wakes up, but that doesn't necessarily mean that I'm not going to be prioritizing my sleep and recovery. Now, some red flags to watch for are persistent soreness, where when you're working out and you're running maybe for the very first time, or as you gradually increase it, just knowing that, like, okay, that this you're having this persistent soreness where when I went to the gym, obviously I had some more days off last week, but when I went to the gym this morning, I wasn't sore at all. When I went for my run this morning, I wasn't sore at all, more just working out the cobwebs from last week. But if you start to have this persistent soreness over and over and over again, you just might want to dial it back. Maybe take an extra rest day or two. Now, this isn't to say like, oh, I feel a little sore today, I'm not going to be working out. Just listen to your body. I can't tell you how many times I've tried to push through certain things, and like I can even last week where I go and running when it's hailing, when I already started to develop a little bit of a cold, just made the problems 10 times worse. So I wish I would have probably dialed it back, but obviously I can't change that now. But just having that persistent soreness, maybe you have poor sleep. You're waking up, you're restless. That could be overtraining a little bit too much. You could have irritability. This is something that I notice when I train a little bit too much, or I don't get enough sleep. I don't have enough recovery, or I'm just snappy. I'm not enjoyable to be around. But that just becomes I'm more exhausted and I'm stressed. So that's not the person I want to be. So I can look out for irritability. It could be dropping performance. I know last Wednesday or 2 Wednesdays ago when I had ran, my times were like 9:30 a minute mile, like on average for 5 miles, and that's not me. I'm like 8:45, 9 minute when I'm just going off and doing my run around me. So I just knew like okay, I'm gonna take Thursday off, and then I ended up going off on Friday. But I normally take Thursday off, so I ended up working out good. But that's an example of maybe I'm running a little bit too much with going on to this leg day, maybe I need to scale it back a little bit. And I think I had gone from 0 miles up to 30 miles the previous week. So my legs are honestly a little bit painful, but at the same time, I had done 30-mile weeks consistently for a long time, for the last couple of months now. And then so I thought going from 0 to 30 again wouldn't be that much of a problem, but it seems as though it had a little bit of an effect on my legs. So maybe I should have taken an extra rest day and slowly ramped up, but you live and you learn. So those are just some red flags to look out for. That's what you should be knowing when it comes to running and lifting on the same day. It can be done. Just best piece of advice I could give you. Just gradually increase it over time. I absolutely enjoy running. I absolutely enjoy lifting. It shouldn't be a detriment for you to do it. It shouldn't be painful. You should go out there. You should be able to enjoy it because I think it's one of the best gifts that we can have is knowing that I can lift today, I can run today, and just that mental discipline and growth that you get from knowing that you push yourself so much harder today.